Minus 20 seconds. Minus 20 seconds. Minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city. I got you. Rep your city. I'm gonna tell you about mine. Rep your city.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me. Feeling this music cause it makes me wanna step. And if you don't wanna to, then you lying to yourself. Cause every time we party, we gon' have fun. I don't know about you, but I'ma rep where I'm from.
Rep your city. Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the RYC Live show this evening. My name is Artistic. I am your host for tonight, and this is Throwback Thursday. We have, as usual, another special guest tonight, and we're going to get right into it for this 1 hour special interview. This is a B-boy. His name is Crazy Legs Rob. From several crews here in Chicago, one the Dynamic Rockers and the Planet Rockers, and he's now also a well-known professional artist. But we're going to get into this and interview him tonight and let him tell whatever he can get out in this 1 hour interview about his story. So without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Crazy Legs Rob.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you for inviting me to the show. Welcome
Yes,
to the
sir.
show, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're glad to have you on, man. You know, we do apologize to everyone for our tardiness here tonight. But as usual, you know, sometimes challenges occur and we have to just go with the flow. Yes.
As they say, shit happens.
So, hey, man, welcome to the show, man. It's been a long time in coming. And, this is the Throwback Thursday. And on this platform, each and every Thursday, we like to go in and basically highlight the history of people that have put their contributions in when it comes to Chicago hip hop.
Now, he just texted me.
Yeah. So let's go back with you. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So what year did you start in the game and what element did you start with first?
Let's see. I started breakdancing first because I couldn't pop. I was introduced pop. I saw pop lock and I was at a skating rink on 95th, not far from Halsted. I think that was the rink. No, it wasn't the rink. The rink was on 87, but it was on 95th, man, around the Dan Ryan Expressway.
Was that the Loop? The Loop roller rink?
Yeah, I was at the Loop. And
okay.
It was a song playing, Baby, You Can Do It, Take Your Time, Do It Right by the SOS band.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a woman and this man, and they was doing this pop lock move. And I was like, wow, that's sweet, man. So, you know, I got to talking to them and they was telling us, you know, they was telling me they was from California and they were talking about breakdancing. And I was like, breakdancing, man, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, a couple years later, a friend of mine, you know, he showed me a breakdance move and I was like, oh, this is breakdancing. So from there, you know, I just, you know, started doing my homework and getting as much, you know, learning about it as I can and teaching myself how to do all the moves, man. And, you know, I got some exercise at the same time.
Wow. So that's where you got kind of introduced to it over at the roller rink over there on 95th.
Yep, at the Loop.
I'm sorry. Yep, the Loop. Yeah.
I was into it. It was that's where I got introduced. I guess it would be the some of the hip hop culture, man. You know, the pop locking.
Okay.
But I couldn't pop. So,
Okay. Yeah. My mom used to live over there in Princeton Park, and you know, I remember the Loop. They had another place right next to it called Track 2, and that was another little area where they, you know, they had dancing and stuff like that, you know. And I remember going to that spot as well. But you know, they tore that stuff down and built a church over there. It's just a church standing in that space now.
it's, you know what, you're right. It sure is. It sure is. Man, I got a friend who lives over there, and I visit him, and you're right. It is a church right there.
Yep.
But yeah, I was about 13 or 14. I might have been 14 years old, man. And once I found out about breakdancing was between 15 and 16, man. That's when I got heavy into it, man. Breakdancing it was my form of aerobics.
Yeah.
And then you know, you combine that with the music, so you know, hip hop was taking off, and you know, that music was electrifying. You know what I'm saying? You could dance and express yourself to the music, man, with your moves.
So what year, if you had to estimate, was that when you was introduced at the Loop?
That was shit, man. I don't know if I want everybody to know that shit. That was maybe I don't know, 79.
Okay.
79.
79.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's up. And you know, and reason why I asked, because this is very integral parts of the puzzle of our history. And you know,
Right.
and a lot of people don't really know a lot of the details of our history when it comes to Chicago. And that's the importance of why we do this show and all the other things that we do when it comes to archiving and things of that nature, because it begins to put the pieces of the puzzle to paint that picture of what Chicago history looks like.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so if anybody was around that time, 79, 80, and they were into skating, you know what I'm saying, or into bikes, like myself in 79, I was into bikes and video games, you know, and shortly after that, I got into hip hop. So, you know, so all of those are very integral parts, movable parts in regard to our history. And then also depending on where you were from, you know. So, you know, I mean, you know, Chicago is broken down into regions: north side, south side, west side, and east side. So depending on what part of the town and what neighborhood you were from made a difference as to if you got introduced to it earlier or later.
Yeah. Yes, I think the cats on the west side, they got a hold of it before the south side did.
Okay. So what neighborhood were you from, you know, in that time when you got introduced to the dance?
I was in Hyde Park. I grew up in Hyde Park. So me and my crew from Hyde Park, Mello D, who you know, Celine, Big KS, E-Ski, Myron, who we're still reaching out to. That was my main crew in Hyde Park that I ran really thick with. You know, my dad lived in the hundreds, and so it was, you know, me being from Hyde Park, you know, from a different crew, I, you know, jailed with my guys out there and introduced them to breakdancing. And that was Craig, Papillon Kid, KK, Crash, my guy Moon, of course Dana. So yeah, I was heavily involved in two crews because, like I said, I spent time in Hyde Park and in the Wild Hundreds.
Okay, so what's these crews? So just for the record, so people will know who we talking about here.
Well, the Dynamic Rockers, the Renegade Rockers, that was the crew from Hyde Park. We were the Renegade Rockers.
Okay.
And the Dynamic Rockers, we were the South Side Wild Hundreds crew. And of course, as I told you earlier, you know, our conversation, later on I joined with the Planet Rockers.
Yes.
Later in my career.
Yes.
Once they got word of my talents, you know, Myron was already with them, but they invited me to become a part of the group.
Okay. So we're talking about 3 different crews, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And just for the record, all the viewers that's tuning in, we're talking about Chicago-based crews, because there was a Dynamic Rockers from New York, but we're talking about the Chicago Dynamic Rockers.
Yes, the Chicago Dynamic Rockers. Just the same as with my name, Crazy Legs. There was also a Crazy Legs from New York, but I was a Crazy Leg that made a name for himself in Chicago.
yes. And that's interesting because I mean, it's kind of like, I kind of look at the name as a thing where, sometimes, several people can have that same name. And I know in hip hop, it was always kind of an issue with to have somebody else's name. Oh, no, you can't. I had the name first, or, what I'm saying, blah, 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 this is that, or let's battle for the name. But I always kind of felt like it's what you do with the name, because even common names like Craig or Robert, you know what I'm saying, Daryl, David, multiple people got those type of names, but it's what you do with the name that makes you stick out.
Yeah, and like Crazy Legs, he was well known, and so I mean by tagging along with that name, I had to really represent.
Yeah. Because like some people can get it confused. They might say Crazy Leg. They might hear that name and just automatically think we're talking about Rocksteady Crew. You know what I'm saying? And then you be like, wait a minute, what? Chicago, Crazy Legs don't live in Chicago. So and that's why I think it's very important, because even like I say, with the name of whether it's your dance name or your crew name, again, I mean, it can make a difference based on what you do and how you do what you do with that name.
Yeah, you're right about that. So like I said, I had to make sure that I brought it, man. You know what I'm saying? I had to represent the name. The same with, people from Chicago, you got to represent Chicago when you go out of town. Like, man, I'm from Chicago. We all about it. We get things done.
Right. Well, want to send a shout out to all of the crews in Chicago, and we just want to ask you all, if you're viewing, if you could do us a favor and share this broadcast, share it to other pages, share it to other friends and groups and families, so that they too can tune in and listen to this exclusive interview that we have here tonight with Mr. Crazy Legs Rob, because we're going into his life story for the next 50 minutes that we got left. So please tune in, share the broadcast, and you never know, you might learn something.
I might learn something. Because actually I did learn something, because when you asked me the question about when I got introduced to it and when did I first hear about it, and I got to thinking like, damn, it was at the skating rink, and you was like, what year? And it was 79. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize it was 79, man. So I learned something.
Yeah, because and it's very interesting, because as I was doing this project, and I'm still working on it, but I learned that skating, just the element of skating, was very instrumental pre-hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like in other words, a lot of us were going to the skating rinks, during the 70s and the 80s. Right. Because that was a place that we can express ourselves, right. Whether we even if we didn't know how to skate, right. Dancers was at the skating rinks, almost before the clubs, so I think that's very important, that we got to make sure that we connect everything, because again, all of that it makes a lot of difference. Like even like you say, on the West Side, they had a place called Hot Wheels. It was their skating rink on the West Side. Okay. And they was dancing and combining. In fact, matter of fact, Mr. What's his name, Lee from the Tidal Wave crew. Yeah. He was one of the B-boys on the West Side that incorporated skating and breaking together.
I remember Mr. Lee and his crew. I ran into him several times.
Yeah. So I think we just gotta, and that's why it's just important to talk about these things, so that we can incorporate them when we're talking to other people about our history. Incorporate the stuff so that we could be like, wait a minute, what that's a good point. Because sometimes we forget about stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. You do. Especially the older you get.
Yeah. And I know it's been a long time. We're talking, over 40 years ago, with this history. And again, my thing is, Chicago has history. So with that being said, and when we talk about Chicago specifically, we definitely are talking about the late 70s, early 80s, because give or take, for the most part, that all the people that I've interviewed, if they go back between that time in terms of the early pioneers in Chicago. They may have started, late 70s, early 80s, and then everybody else came afterwards.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, you coming up on the South Side, coming from up out of Hyde Park, and, talk about how things began to kind of simmer and to develop into what we know for Chicago hip hop. What was that like for you? And as things were, because I remember clearly 83 and 84 as two very pivotal years for Chicago hip hop, because I remember it was kids dancing in just about every neighborhood on every corner when you went.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
My crew, we used to go downtown, man, in front of the water tower with our linoleum rolled up. We'd get on the bus with our linoleum and go in front of the water tower, man, or the Art Institute. Some of us carried a cardboard, and the other four of us had linoleum, man. We'd be on the train with linoleum. And then this was the early 80s, man. We'd be down there, making our little change. It's like 7 or 8 of us coming home with like $800 in quarters, dimes, and nickels and shit, man. Which was great. It kept us out of trouble. We was teenagers, and we, none of us had jobs, but that's how we made our money.
Right.
But then that was in the early 80s, man, that we did that.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's why I say it's so important to highlight, that type of information, because again, every city was different. We had similarities, but there were still differences, in whatever city you grew up in. And like New York, they had boroughs, but we had sides of town. Like, they had the Bronx, they had Brooklyn, they had Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, and stuff like that. But with us, it was this, what side of town were you from? And then ideally, what neighborhood were you from? Now, I came from the Roseland community. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up on 101st right off of State. So everybody had their own little neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, that they kind of sprouted from. And then from there, collectively, they began to reach out, come out of the neighborhoods and go circulate around the cities to be able to like, oh, what, you hip hop? Oh,
But what the thing was, when we circulated out our neighborhoods, it was mostly we would be going to parties, man. Like, the Aragon, was it Janelle's?
Janelle's, yeah.
Janelle's, man. What was the road? The Rainbow skating rink.
Rainbow, yep.
Yeah, we go out our neighborhood, to go to where we could break dance and shit, man. And you got all these, like you said, all these other neighborhoods coming to the same spot. So, it's like nobody came to the parties and shit to dance on no bullshit. So we all got along. I made a lot of lifelong friends, from breakdancing, man, from different neighborhoods. And it's pretty much, it stayed like that. If we might go on the west side. Cool Rocksteady used to take me on the west side because he was popular out west, and he introduced me to Tidal Wave.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, you know what? Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll pick up where we left off.
Okay, cool.
RYC Live, rep your city. I'm Artistic, your host for the Throwback Thursdays, every Thursday at 8 p.m. right here live, bringing you the hip hop from the past to the present, covering the full scope of the elements.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me.
If you would like to be a guest on the show, please send us an email to ryclive@yahoo.com and send us a brief description of why you'd like to be on the show. Also, take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you want to see them, make sure they see you. Local to Global is a full-service film, video production, and marketing company that emphasizes on high-quality, brand-focused content to boost brand awareness through marketing, advertising, and broadcast media. Everyone has a story. Let us tell yours. We are Local to Global Production.
Welcome back to the RYC Live show. This is the Throwback Thursdays tonight with our special guest, Mr. Crazy Legs Rob. Yeah. So, I would like to talk a little bit about the connection, because there is a direct connection for those that may not understand. Obviously, this culture started mostly on the East Coast. And then parts of it also started on the West Coast with the popping and the locking. But with the breaking, obviously it started in New York. But, but they were doing it, several years before it actually came to our city in Chicago. And so, and I remember coming up, and seeing, because back then we had no internet. So I remember, Soul Train was one of our channels that we would get this information to see the dance. But not necessarily breaking during the 70s, at least the mid 70s. That it really didn't come until a little later in early 80s that you began to start seeing the breaking. And I remember seeing on all these little TV shows that started popping up, like That's Incredible and The Gong Show. These are different shows. Star Search that the dance started. And in Chicago we had Bozo. And places like that would kind of feature the dance. And I remember coming from New York. I remember seeing the cats from New York, like not just the Rocksteady crew, but the New York City Breakers. And those were the guys that I would kind of watch a little bit, because they had a couple of shows that they were featured on Soul Train, and they were and I actually joined their fan club. Now that I think about it, I joined their fan club, and they would send me stuff from New York, as in terms of what they were doing. And, and then we, and that's how we kind of, in our neighborhood, we kind of was just like trying to model, because, you was looking for anybody that you can kind of learn from to kind of get fresh with, so to speak, because again, at that time, it wasn't a lot of videos. They were just beginning to kind of surface in movies, Flash Dance and Breaking, obviously Breaking. Breaking came out in 84, Breaking 1 and 2. But talk a little bit about what you can recall during those particular, like 83 and 84, when there was just an explosion of the dance, and it kind of influenced a lot of kids to really get involved in it, whether they wanted to or not, just because everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah. Flashdance was the movie, man, that I loved. That Flashdance really inspired me to take the craft, more serious, man. When I saw those guys on the big screen, I was like, wow, that's some cool shit. I really want to get serious with this now. Breaking 1 and 2, they focused a little more on popping than they did with breaking. So I wasn't a big fan of those two movies. I mean, they were cool, but I wasn't a big fan. Rest in peace, Shabba-Doo. But like Wild Style had a little breaking in it, which was cool. And there was another movie, man. What was the movie? Really, when New York City Breakers battled Rocksteady Crew with Lee. Damn, why is the movie
Beat Street,
dude.
Yeah.
When Beat Street came out, that was it. I was gung ho about breakdancing.
That was the classic.
And that was a classic, and that let everybody know that wasn't into breakdancing. Like, hey, this is the thing. These cats are cool, man. So that those movies really inspired me to really take it serious and get busy with it, man. So those were the movies that would really let me know, hey, this is something it's gonna be big.
Right.
Right. It's evolved so much now, man. And of course, Paris 2024, it's in the Olympics, man.
Yes.
So I can't wait. So, me and my crews, the Planet Rockers, Renegade, not the Planet Rockers, the Dynamic Rockers, the Renegade Rockers, we're planning a reunion, and we're going to that, man.
That's going to be nice. It's going to be real nice. Yeah. So let's talk about you individually. How would you define your style? What your style was like as a b-boy during those heydays in the 80s? What kind of moves did you specialize in?
Footwork.
Okay.
I really emphasized smooth, flowing footwork. That's why that's one of the reasons why I adapted the name CrAzY Legs, because of my smooth footwork and my quick freezes and my poses, and what I learned from Mellow D and Celine Big KS is top rocking, which
Okay.
people call it up rock, but it was called top rock. In New York they called it top rock.
Okay.
You had to come with, you had some top rock, you came out with that, everybody knew you was about to hit the floor and then do some moves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was where my main focus was with my top rocking and my footwork, man. And then I learned windmills, and that was over after that. Businessman, no man, no hands, and with the windmills. And once I learned the flare, it was over.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because when you with us coming up, we had what's called foundation.
Okay.
Right. So you had, like you said, your up rock, your top rock, your basic fundamental moves that you did. Then you went down to the floor. And even then, you still didn't go right into no power moves. You had to do some type of footwork. You
And
had to
have
do,
some footwork.
yeah, you had to have some type of footwork before you even went into a power move. Today, a lot of these guys just go right into power moves. They just jump right into, what I'm saying, these 1990s and all of these flare moves, these air moves, and they ain't doing no footwork. They
No,
ain't doing.
have you ever watched any of the videos on Instagram, man? And I was watching one, and Ken Swift was one of the judges. And this dude, man, he has some power moves that I couldn't dream about doing back when I was breakdancing. But Ken Swift, because he didn't have no footwork and no top rock, Ken Swift was looking unimpressed.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I mean,
yeah.
he was doing air moves and shit, man. Like he was held up like Jackie, what's his name? The martial arts guy, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Dude, that's how his power moves were looking, man. And Ken Swift was not impressed.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have no footwork. Like I said,
I agree. And I mean, because there's and that's what I mean.
Hello?
What was that?
No, it's skipping.
No,
I'm not
I was just
gonna
say, that was just a part of the foundation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was the foundation, man. You had to have something to lead into your moves, man. You couldn't just jump into some moves, man. You had to entertain. Yeah.
And then another thing that I think that's lost today versus what we had coming up during our time was people don't really focus on routines as much today. And then also the fashion. You knew a crew when you seen one back in the day because they were dressed alike. Today,
that's right,
you see a crew today, you don't know who is who. Like you see 15 guys or 10 guys.
Back in the day, we had our colored leaves on. I'm talking rose-colored leaves with the crease in it, orange shoestring, fat laces, man. And then we had the Puma. Back then, we was wearing the Puma suits with the stripes on the side. That was hard to get in Chicago, but we found a way to get them.
Yep.
Yeah. You had to be fashionable. You had to make a statement when you went out.
Yeah. So and I just think that again, that's and little do some people may know or may not know is that we kept breaking alive even after it kind of died out in New York. We were still doing it here in Chicago,
Yes.
And a lot of people were kind of shocked because they was just like they kind of was taking the following of what was going on, especially in New York. They kind of had it had subsided. And they were kind of moving on to other things. But, and when some of them cats was coming to Chicago, they was like, wow, y'all still breaking? Like, wow, really? Because we took it very serious.
No, yeah, we made it work out up here, man. But that's because the parties were going on here, man. The parties were going on strong, so we had a place to go to where we could break and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree, and I remember listening to WHBK, and WHBK, just like New York had their radio stations, we had ours here too. And I think, if it wasn't for HBK when it comes to Chicago hip hop, we probably wouldn't have knew as much about hip hop as we learned
Yeah.
because of that, because of not having that radio station.
Yeah. Do you remember the parties at the Blue Gargoyle?
Yes, I was just going to say, anybody that was on the South Side, if you don't know about the Blue Gargoyle, you missed it.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about that is because that was in Hyde Park, and
Yeah.
WHBK was right across the street
Across
from the
the
Blue
street.
Gargoyle.
Right across the
Yeah,
street.
yeah. So yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about you got a chance, because not everybody got this opportunity to go on TV. Like I said, we had the Bozo show, and we had, when Oprah came to Chicago, she had AM Chicago. So some of the B-boy crews got a chance to go on there and perform. Obviously Soul Train had up and packed and left and went to California,
Right.
but we still had a few other platforms of opportunities that were allowing people to be seen here in Chicago outside of the street. But you
Right.
got the opportunity to be a part of a movie. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Well, the movie was called Running Scared, and it featured Billy Crystal and the late Gregory Hines. And we had a man. I was with the Planet Rock. Well, the Planet Rockers was one of my crews I was in at the time. So I guess the manager got word that they were looking for some breakdancers to be some extras in the movie. So we actually didn't have to go audition for that. We just showed up. I think we were out there for about maybe 5 days. So they put us in some other scenes in the movie. But when it came time for us to do the breaking scene on the corner, it was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 of us from the Planet Rockers and a couple of the Renegade Rockers. So we each did a move when they rode up in the Mercedes, and they would, stop the car and they looking at us. And so we each did a move. So when it was my turn, because Myron had did a move, I was like, shit, why he do that? What I'm gonna do? So I just went out, I did my move, and I happened, I did my top rock, went down and did some footwork, kicked into a flare. So then, the other guys, they followed behind that or whatever. So then, when the director yelled cut, he said, "You that did that move with your legs in the air, do it again." And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna be in the movie." And sure enough, that scene made the movie. So that's
Nice.
how I got in the movie. I did one of my strongest moves, that I got known for, and that it made the movie.
So for everyone that has not seen the movie, I am glad that I was able to just recently see it as I talked to my brother, Mr. Crazy Legs Rob. But out of all these years, I had never seen the movie. The movie came out in 1986.
Yes.
Okay. Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. And, it wasn't a breakdance movie, but it definitely is a part of our history because he was in the movie along with his peers from the crew. And I think that's what makes it, creditable, because again, anytime that we play roles in what we did coming from the street and we can take it to a larger audience or a larger platform, it's considered in my book classic.
That was one of my shining moments in my breakdance career, man. That was one of my shining moments.
Yes.
To make the big screen. And you know what? It's funny because I never really, like, that was not my goal. Like, hey, I got to get in the movie.
Right.
I was more concerned with, perfecting my moves, man. Being just flawless and shit.
Yeah.
So
I
said, we had a manager. We got the call. My number I did my thing.
Okay. Now talk about this for the viewers, because obviously the first two crews that you were in with the Dynamic Rockers and the Renegade Rockers, primarily South Side. But then when you joined the Planet Rockers, which had members that was on the North Side, how did that come to be?
Well, Myron, like I said, Myron was part of the Renegade Rockers. That was the Hyde Park crew. We were the Renegade Rockers. So I think Myron was dating one of the girls, and then he found out that she was part of a breakdance crew. So she was like, "Hey, I need you to meet them." So he became part of their crew, and he was with them for a couple years. But like I said, Myron, he liked the way I my moves and all this stuff. So he's like, "Man, I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take you to one of our practices. I want you to show them your moves."
Mm-hmm.
So he took me to a practice, and they liked what they saw, and they asked me to be a part of the crew. And back then, I guess a lot of people really wasn't concerned what neighborhood you were from, man. And they were more concerned with your breakdancing and shit. How good you were. So they asked me to join the crew, and I was like, sure. So I practiced with them. Like I said, I once a week we'd have a practice at the YMCA up on the north side. But then all the other times I practiced with my crew. And the Planet Rockers, when they had a show, I'd go do a show with them. So
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't hard to do. Like I said, I lived in Hyde Park. My dad lived in the Wild Hundreds. That's when I was out there. My other crew, Craig, Dana, KK, Crash. Hyde Park is Mellow, Celine, Eski. So it's like, and I introduced both those crews, to each other. Like, I'd be like, "Hey, y'all coming to Hyde Park with me? Come on, won't y'all be my crew?" And then Hyde Park, I'm like, "No, y'all come on out south. We got a garage we practice in, man. We got some practice space," which we used to spend like 12 to 15 hours a day in the summertime, man, just practicing in the garage.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard. You know what I'm saying? I was young, carefree, and had nothing but school and breakdancing.
Yeah, that's what's up. Which was this scenario with most of us. It's like that's all we cared about. We had to practice and get fresh.
That's right. You had to be fresh, man. If you was gonna go out of your neighborhood and go somewhere and break, you better be fresh. Because I'm gonna tell you, man. Back then, I didn't have no problems with the gangs and shit, man. We come to the neighborhood and we roll out the linoleum, they be like, "Oh no, y'all let them break. Just be quiet. They break us. We need to see this shit. We want to see a show." We never had no problems, man. Whatever neighborhood we were in, man. The gangs, they liked us.
Right. That's what's up. I do agree with that. I do think that at some point the gangs realized that we wasn't like them, but we were similar because we had crews or we had groups, what I'm saying? So we were kind of like formed, to a certain degree like gangs, but we just wasn't gangs.
We were a gang, but we were a gang that liked to entertain.
Yeah, there you go. So like you said, a lot of them was and which allowed us to go into these neighborhoods when they realized, oh, they're not here to fight or anything like that, but they're here to entertain, let them do their thing.
Right. Yeah. Which was, I loved it, man. It was sweet, like I said, made a lot of friends, man. Made friends.
Yeah, a lot of the guys I talk to too, they have that as a testimony where they say, well, hey, you know what, being a B-boy or graffiti artist or MC allowed me to go in neighborhoods that I probably wouldn't have been able to get in otherwise because of my talent.
That's right. That's right. But wait, you sometimes you did have that one neighborhood you went in and you destroyed their crew and they ran your ass up out of there though.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I want to send a shout out to everybody tuning in. We thank you all for the comments and the love and the support. Crash Green checking in, making his comments. Craig Towns checking in. My man Nino checking in from Arizona. Shout out to him. We got Dana Johnson checking in. He says, "Legs, the legend."
Hey man, I love my homies, man. I love them to death, man. It's a lot of them. I hope I said y'all name, but y'all mean a lot to me, man. I came a long way with you guys, man. And I really appreciate all of you because each and every one of y'all made me better because I was determined to be better than all y'all ass.
Yeah, man. And I think that's hip hop is very competitive. So I think,
Yes.
we sharpen our own, we keep our tools sharpened by just being a part of the hip hop culture, because, even within crews, there were
Yeah.
challenges. Even
Yeah.
within crews, it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
That,
let me,
man,
yeah,
dude, that's what kept you going, man.
yeah,
Your crew kept your crew, like you said, iron sharpens iron, man.
right.
If you had a cat that was good in your crew, you didn't have no choice but to be good, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
So each and everybody that was in my crews, man, the Hyde Park, the Hunters, man, they were all good, man. But everybody had their specialty, man. Everybody had their specialty.
Okay, Crash got a question for you. He said, he said, ask you about meeting Bambaataa.
Oh, Bambaataa was cool, man. We met Bambaataa, like you said, we met Bambaataa. WHPK had did it. I guess it was a showcase with the Soul Sonic Force, man. They did a couple songs up there, and we actually did some footwork and some up rock on stage with them, man. Courtesy of Cool Rock. Cool Rock was cool with Bam, and when we found out they was gonna be in town, we got up there. Bam called Cool Rock on stage. Cool Rock's like, "Come on up here, y'all." They performed and we bust a couple moves, man. It was like, yeah, okay, this is cool, this Bam, but we got some break moves we want to do. But no, he was a real cool, mellow cat, man. He was humble. He was genuine, down to earth. He was cool. He wasn't stuck up or none of that, man. Real cool cat.
Nice, nice.
Craig actually got a picture taken with him.
Oh, that's what's up. Hey,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I would like to show one of the pictures from the crew that you joined later, which was called the Planet Rockers, and this was a photo of them in blue when they
Okay.
were on the AM Chicago show with Oprah. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
See, do we got that picture to show? The Planet Rockers?
I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
They did that. They did that before me. I wasn't with them then.
Yeah.
Myron was with them then.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
That's Myron with the headband on.
Okay, Myron to the far right, right?
Yeah, that's Myron.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Now, when you joined the group, was that their uniform, or did they have another type of uniform by the time you came in?
Yeah, we had another uniform by the time I came in. That was early, and they probably like within their first 2-3 years of being together. When I joined them, that's when the New York City Breakers did they show for the president, the inauguration, in the skin suit, the
bodysuit. Yeah.
So when I joined them, we had some bodysuits with a blue stripe on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wish I had some of those pictures, man. Yeah, we had the blue bodysuit with a stripe on it when I joined them.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah. Hey, let's show that picture too, if we can. The one with Mr. Crazy Legs Rob when he was dancing on the corner. Can we show that real quick? Yeah, there we go. So let's talk about this, Rob. Tell us a little bit about your experience with being a part of this movie.
Let me start by telling you this. The snow out there was not real. It was soap suds, and they were spraying it from a truck, which freaked me out. And it was probably about 20 degrees below zero out there, man. But knowing we was gonna be breakdancing, we couldn't come out there in no big bulky ass coats and stuff. So we layered up. But that's what I remember most about that, man. How cold it was and the soap suds, and actually on our lunch break in the basement of a church, we were breakdancing, and Billy Crystal came over to us, man, and we showed Billy Crystal some footwork, man, and he loved it. Gregory Hines, he didn't want no part of it. He was a professional tap dancer,
right?
But he said, I'm straight. But Billy Crystal, man, we taught Billy Crystal some footwork, man, on our lunch break.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You mentioned earlier in the outset that the dance has gone to the Olympics, And I personally, along with many others, even back in the 80s, thought that the dance was well equipped enough to go, especially when New York City Breakers were dancing for the president, the inaugural showcase that they had, you know, and we were like, wow, you know, at that point, that's when it was just kind of like, wow, you know, this dance, in my opinion, was good enough to go to the Olympics back then. But
Yes.
it's a finally officially a part of the Olympics. So like you said, 2024, they will be featuring it. And this is going to create a whole new realm of opportunities for the young B-boys and B-girls.
This is gonna be amazing and great, man. You know, I love, you know, it brings tears to my eyes, man, to know something I was involved in back then early on has evolved to this, man. This in the Olympics, man. You know, I'm excited. I'm glad I was one of the early pioneers of doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I have some experience with it, man, and I can relate to it, man. You know, it's wonderful, man. And I'm very anxious, you know, to go to the Olympics to see it. And I'm really interested in to see how they're gonna judge it.
Yes. I do think I think that was one of the main concerns after the talk of it coming into, you know, getting accepted, is how it was going to be judged, because I always felt that, you know, you're not really a proper judge if you haven't been a part of the dance yourself, because you can't really properly judge anybody that you know, that's just like any sport. Like I can't go out and judge a boxing match if I've never been out there boxing myself.
Oh, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. So we can look forward to seeing, you know, Ken Swift, maybe the Chicago Crazy Legs Rob out there. See that being one of the judges.
I think that would only be right to have a formal b-boy judging, you know, or at least, you know, administering the judge tactics, because again, you know, you could be looking at a move and have no clue as to what you're looking at, but then you're talking about you give them a 5.
And like you said, and even know how difficult it is to do, man. Because like I said, it's evolved so much, and the moves that these boys are doing now, man, like I said, I couldn't even, you know, fathom like what made them think to do that. How did he think? And it's amazing because now, you know, I watch the videos on IGN, man. Some of these kids are like, the little boys are 8 years old. And the girls that are on there they're better than the boys were back in my day.
And I think too they have a lot of advantages, because like we were talking, I was even talking to some of the homeboys from your crew, and we were talking about how we were diehards to learn certain moves, but we didn't have it available for us that often. You know, like we had to wait till if it was in a commercial, we had to wait to see it on a commercial, or when we went out, because a lot of us didn't have recording devices, so we had to kind of remember it up here as much as we could. Okay, I think he did this, and I think he did. But today, people could just go online and constantly study.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. But you know what? But too, though, Daryl, you know, but there comes a balance though too, because like I said, we practice. You know, that's why my crew was you know, we were kind of set ourselves apart, because you know the hours we practice, man. You know, Craig, Dana, Crash, and the hundreds, man. Even in Hyde Park, you know, the crew in Hyde Park, dude. We practice, man. I mean, literally like 12 to 15 hours a day. So you had nothing but time to work on moves and then see your mistake and correct it and then stumble across a new move. So like you said, we don't have access like they do now to see it up, pull it online and do it. But it's just a matter of, you know, practice, you know.
You know, I do think that's a valid point, because that is a true fact. You know, we did used to practice for hours upon hours, specifically because it was new. See, when we were doing it, it was new to the world. Today, it's not new to the world. But back when we were doing it, it was so new. That's why Hollywood took it by storm to make the movies Breaking in B Street and even Flashdance, because they knew that this was a new dance phenomenon. You know what I'm saying?
And they knew that it was going to get big, you know, which kudos to Hollywood for recognizing this is something new and it's going to get big.
Yep. I remember people saying that, oh, that's just a street dance. You know,
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
great dancers. They like to spin on their heads, and they didn't really classify us as real dancers.
No,
You
they
know,
didn't.
they
No.
didn't. You know, they even it was portrayed in the movie Breaking, where they were kind of like being put against professional trained dancers, you know, and
Right.
they considered
Yeah.
them as street dancers. They were just like, I know you're not going to put these street dancers on the
Right.
same stage with
Yep.
my professional trained dancers.
Right. Yep. That's right, man. And now look at if you have a show, you offer people to come see some break dancers or some professional dancers, I think you're gonna get more people to go see them break dancers now.
Yeah, because it's definitely a phenomenal dance, and it's constantly growing and developing. And I mean, you know, they have international competitions now. You know, I mean, we had a lot of competitions back then, but I mean, today,
Yeah.
you know, it's just more organized and more opportunity for people to be seen and heard in terms of what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right about that.
Yeah. So that's what's up, man. So how do you feel about the dance? And I want to, you know, get into a little bit about what you're currently doing today. But how do you feel about where it has come from back when you first started versus where it's at today?
Um, I'm glad it's where it's at today. I wish it had got a bigger push back in the day when I was doing it. I especially wish that Chicagoans had more opportunity to be involved in the things that were going on, you know, when it did start getting recognized. You know, because there was a lot of talent in Chicago. You know, it was like we got overlooked. But
Yeah.
Chicago had a lot of talented dancers. We spoke about, you know, a couple of people that, you know, went on to do some things. Clay Doe, you
Mm-hmm.
know, Crystal White with Crystal Waters, you know, in Michael Jackson video. You know, we got overlooked a lot, man, being in Chicago. But you know,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's getting recognition that it deserves. You know,
Yeah.
it's about time. You know, the same. You know, like with hip hop music, man, it's getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, man, because you know, like when I talked to Shabba-Doo, and Shabba-Doo left Chicago back in the early 70s. You know, as a matter of fact, I believe it was between 71 and 72 when he left Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So back when he left, you know, at the beginning of his career, you know, Soul Train had left as well, you know,
Right.
and went to California. And so a lot of people didn't even know that he was originally from Chicago. So
Yeah.
people, including myself, because I didn't
Yeah,
know him
and I didn't know either. You told me that. I didn't know that.
back. Yeah, you know, and when I spoke to him on the phone, I told him, I said, hey man, you know, and this was before he died, but you know, I told him, I said, hey man, you know, a lot of people don't even realize that you're originally from Chicago. He was like, yeah. He said, well, that is the narrative, and that's why we're trying to do certain things to change that, because he grew up in Cabrini Green, you know, and he also lived for a short period of time on the north side. So you know, you know, it's just amazing, and I'm thinking like, wow, but your history goes all the way back with us first, but yet people automatically put you in the category of West Coast California. They
Yeah,
never mentioned you being from Chicago.
at all. I was clueless. You learned me something the other day when we talked.
So I think again, it's just one of those things where we have to really share our history, even if it's old news. You know, like you know, we should put that information out there, because if we don't, who will? You
Right.
know, and then it's almost like we get written off, because most people be like, well, you know, I had a rapper, Scarface, come here to Chicago back in the 90s from the Ghetto Boys. And to this day, and I'm gonna just keep it 100, that was one of the worst interviews that I ever done with
Oh no.
Scarface, when Scarface from the Ghetto Boys, because I asked him one question and it kind of made me very upset, because I said, hey, how do you feel about the MCs from Chicago? And he said, MCs. He said, what MCs? He said, y'all got MCs?
Oh
And I was like, wow. And then he was just like, next question. So, you
wow.
know, to me, that kind of is, again, it's like pushing us up under the rug, so to speak.
Right.
Like Chicago ain't got Chicago don't have hip hop here. you know.
If they only knew. Look
Right,
at us now. Look at us
right,
now.
right, right. So, so I think it's, times like this, we have to share our stories, put it out there, let people know, even though you may not be actively involved in it anymore, it still don't hurt to share what you had done in terms of your contributions about it.
Right.
Share that information so people could be like, oh, because a lot of these kids don't know the history because it's not enough out there readily available for them to learn about it,
Okay.
and
Right.
especially if they don't know where to look.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about that, man. You're right.
So let's talk about what you got going on today. Now, you also said that you used to tag CrAzY back
Yeah.
in the day, primarily on your clothes and everything. But what is the art world working or doing for you today?
Our world is paying bills. Shoot, and buying me cars. No.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I used to tag before I've always been involved in art, man. My dad, may he rest in peace. He started me painting. Well, he took me on my first paint job at 5 years old and had me caulking baseboards. So, I had a paintbrush in my hand, painting walls by the time I was 7 years old. But like in my early teens, my pre-teens, grammar school, I was always drawing. I'd draw comic book characters in class, finish my work and draw comic book characters. So I've always liked to draw. Let's see, I went from my teens, like I said, I was doing graffiti and some garages, tagging on the bus or the train. I drawing on my clothes. I draw on my clothes, little sketchbooks. I started painting, I guess when I moved out of my house about, what time was I when I moved out? About 21, 22. I started painting because I've always liked to draw or paint and stuff. I started reading art books. And I would paint to decorate my walls because I couldn't afford art. So I would, my little, influences, emulate their styles and stuff. And I couldn't keep nothing on my walls, because my friends would always want to buy it for their house. So I'm selling my stuff to them, for the supply money to re-up on supplies. So long story short, when I quit my job at Chicago Tribune, for personal reasons, I said, you know what, I'm gonna start painting full time, So I got a studio and I started, I did a show, and a friend of mine that was opening a gallery, he liked my artwork and he said, man, I want you to be one of my first artists. I want to represent you. I said, fine. After that, I never looked back. I've been selling art full time, man, for the past 15, 16 years. I'm in the studio right now, doing what I love doing,
That's what's
art.
up.
Yeah.
And
Robert Lewis Clark. Follow me on Facebook, which you probably are already, and Instagram. Website is under construction.
Nice. That's what's up, man. So hey, we at the end of the day, we all are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And what some people may fail to realize or may not even know is that entrepreneurship is also an element of hip hop. And that's another element that continued to help us thrive as artists, because we were always trying to seek how we can do certain things on a business level within the comforts of our own way.
Right. Yeah, you got to, sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, man, and prayer, man. You got to pray. Pray works, and follow your heart, man. If you got something that you like doing, man, pursue it. If you like doing it, when you do it, and you go do it every day, it's not work. It's not like work because you love doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get better at it.
Okay. Well, what would you like to say in conclusion to any up and coming artists, whether they be dancers or physical design artists or abstract artists or whatever other kind of art they may be into? What would you like to say to any artist coming up today? What would be your words of advice?
Well, the one thing that someone told me, and it resonates with me to this day, is study your craft. Study your craft. Short and sweet, and it makes perfect sense. Study your craft, and do what you like doing. But you got to study your craft so that you know what you're doing. Study means read about it, learn about it, practice at it. But whatever you do, you got to study your craft.
Wow, that's a good piece of advice. Good piece of advice. Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, one time checking in, I just like to shout out to those tuning in. Let's see here. Here's a comment I like to bring out from it looked like he changed his name on here. CB Smooth. He said, "Tell Crazy Legs Rob, Chris and Odell, Street Rocker said, what's up, bro?"
You know what? You tell Tall Boy, what's up, my brother? Remember them days cutting class at Hyde Park, breaking outside of radio TV class?
Yeah, so that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, 87th Street Rockers tuning in.
Yeah. I love all the crews, man. You know, and it's good to see these guys out here, man. And you know, we've all been blessed to live a healthy life, man. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully everybody's, you know, dreams come to fruition.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. And then Craig,
Craig? No,
he said something about the practices in combination lot. He asked me to mention that to you.
You know what, Craig be typing some shit, man. Sometimes I have to like put that shit through a decoder. But Craig, yep, it was sweet. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Shout out again to my homeboy Nino checking in. Nino said he was in the crew in the 80s called the Electronicals. You know, he was from the Wild Hundreds as well. You know, so
that name sounds familiar. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
You know what those funny to me though, man. You know, and I was talking to somebody about it today, man. You know, I would be telling my wife these stories about who I was back in the day. She'd be like, yeah, right. We was in Hyde Park walking one time, man, and this brother ran up to me. He was like, "Crazy Legs." I was like, "Damn, you remember me?" I was aging. But, that was the highlight of, that'd be some highlights in my life, man. And that just lets me know that I left an impression on somebody, man, when I was breakdancing back then, man, which, brings me joy, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, man, we want to thank you, man, for taking the time out of your evening to come onto our platform to share just a portion of your story with us. And we look forward to continually following with you. And, obviously you're going to be featured in our upcoming book entitled The Real Deal on the History of Chicago Hip Hop. And, we'll be doing some things. I want to get a chance to come down to your studio. I know you told me you're down there with my man Design. You know what I'm saying? So, we get a chance to vibe, maybe break some bread, soon.
Well, no, you got to definitely come check me out, Daryl. Just, come we talk, man, about the good old days. And I'd like to thank you for inviting me on the show, man. It's been a real pleasure. And I want to let everybody know that you can come check me out at the Museum of Science and Industry, Black Creativity, because I will have a piece of art featured in that show.
Nice. Now, we're getting ready to conclude the show for tonight, but don't leave off when we end the broadcast, because we got a special surprise for you in the backstage area. So we want you to meet us backstage for a moment, and we'll chop it up. Okay?
Okay.
All right, man. Well, hey, salute to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And feel free to reach back out to us tomorrow night for the Uncut with Mr. RYC Live himself at 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. And then we'll be back again next Thursday for the Throwback Thursday at 8 p.m. Don't forget to rep your city, and we'll see you until then.
Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city. I got you. Rep your city. I'm gonna tell you how mine. Rep your city. Rep your city. Rep your city. Okay.
The interesting thing about when we do these shows, because we have an interchange of knowledge being given to each other, and and that's what it's all about.
How do you feel about how Twin Cities support their local artists.
Okay, now, are you getting ready to go out, or are you going to bed?
No, this is for y'all. I did all of this for y'all. I did all of this for y'all. I got cute for y'all. This is an uncut interview, so I figured I would be kind of sexy in my little robe, feeling myself.
To the RYC Live. If you feel good, put your hands up high. And if you rep the hood in the city, this is your joint right here. No lie, no lie. Welcome to the RYC Live. If you feel